everybody, and welcome back to Simpit. In my last Attack the Track video, we talked about vision. We talked about opening up our field of view to take in as much information on the track as we can. In this video, we're going to build upon our vision, and we're going to talk about feel and hearing. When we get out on track, the most important thing is to learn so we can optimize our driving. So when we can see, feel, and hear everything, we can take in much more information, and that way we optimize our driving and get the most out of our car. The more heightened our senses can be, the more information we can absorb. And there we can make better decisions on the track. The more you do this, the more it becomes second nature to you and the faster you drive on track. Now, a common mistake most drivers make is that they force themselves to go faster, but that's not really the right way to go about it. All it will do is cause you to make harder inputs, more errors, and potentially hit other drivers. This is because drivers become overwhelmed with everything in front of them, and now are reacting to what is going on versus seeing what's going to happen and making the adjustments needed to maximize their lap. You have to be able to get yourself to open up your mental capacity to be able to utilize your vision, feel, and hearing without thinking about it. If you can do that, you can drive faster with a bit more ease. When you can increase your senses, you can make fewer or even minimize your mistakes. You'll never be able to fully eliminate the mistakes, but you'll be able to understand them quicker and adjust better accordingly. When I talk about feel, it's understanding how your car acts to your inputs. In real racing, a driver is going to be able to feel that through his steering wheel, his seat, and his pedals. He's going to be able to understand what the car is doing when it comes to understeer and oversteer. In sim racing, we're only really going to feel that through our wheelbase system unless you've got shakers or a full-on motion system. So for most sim racers that only have force feedback from their wheel, it's very important you dial in the settings so you can feel everything. You want to make sure you feel every bump, crevice, and curb. You want to make sure you know what the tires are doing. Do you have enough grip on the front? Are the rears breaking traction? And you also want to dial in your strength. You don't want to have too much strength, because the stronger your wheel is, the more you're going to be fighting it, and the more time you're going to end up losing on track. You only want enough strength so you can feel what's going on in the car and what's going on track, not any more than that. You can feel a lot through your steering wheel. For example, when you understeer, you're going to feel the wheel become lighter. When you oversteer, you feel the wheel wants to go to the opposite lock. When you feel those forces on the wheel and understand them, you can use grip manipulation to get the car to do what you want it to do. The same goes for bumps and curves. I can't tell you how many times in a session I would hit that bump at Sunset Bend at Sebring and unsettle the car. But when I realized what I was doing wrong, I learned to anticipate that bump and use it to my advantage in the races. Alright, so here I'm going to show you the settings that I use for my specific system. So because I've got a 30 Newton meter wheel from a SemiCube, I got my wheel force set to 30 Newton meters. When we're looking at max force, yes, the number seems a lot higher, but on the scale, we're actually using it a lot lower than 30 Newton meters. So we're using roughly about a little over a quarter of the forces of what 30 Newton meter can do. So it's very important that you make this as low as you can, because this is where your strength is going to come into play. So the lower it is, the less strength you're going to have on your wheel. If you slide it even higher, the stronger your wheel is going to be when you're driving. So you want to lower it enough to where you're actually just feeling everything that's going on with the car. And if we go to my SemiCube settings, so over here, if you take a look at this, again, these are just my settings, what they feel comfortable to me. So I've got my SemiCube force reconstruction filter at 5. Torque bandwidth limit is unlimited. My dampening is set at 0.8%, friction's at 1%, inertia is at 17%, and then over on the direct input effects, I've got my friction set to 24, my dampening to 15, and everything else is set to 0. With these, there's a bunch of different settings out there, but again, this is just for me, how I feel more comfortable when I'm driving the car. When I'm driving with these settings, I can actually feel a lot more in control of the car. Hearing is also important when it comes to sim racing. You use it to know when to shift gears, hear brake or tire lock. Know when your tires are on the limit during the different phases of a corner, or when an opponent is next to you. Alright, so when we take a look at my sound settings in iRacing, if you can see right here, I've got my master audio set all the way to the very right. My engine, I've turned it down, because what I really want to hear is just how high the rev is going, but I don't want it to take away any sounds from what the tires are doing. So I've lowered the engine a bit and I've maxed out the tires, because this is really important. You really want to know what your tires are doing. If you're scrubbing your tires, you're squealing them. If you are sliding out too much, you want to hear what the tires are doing, because that's going to give you the most feedback of how you should be driving the car. Crash, I've lowered it very far down. Wind, if you're driving an open wheeler and you want to enjoy the sound of the wind, I mean, this is totally up to you. This is your taste. But again, this is just another sensory input that I don't really want to deal with. So I've turned it down even more. I've got my in-car sound all the way to the far right. Ambient, I've dropped it down just a little bit. Spotter, because I don't really use the iRacing spotter all that much. So if you're using Crew Chief, you can turn this all the way down and only focus on using Crew Chief. In chat, once we're doing league racing, I want to hear what's going on. So if somebody's spun out or they crashed and they say something in chat, I can hear what's actually going on. So yeah, these are my sound settings. You can play with these to how you please, but the most important thing you want to focus on is your master, your engines, and your tires, because you want to hear what is going on in the sounds inside the car so you can adjust properly. When you're ready to practice your senses, make sure you focus on each one individually, because if you combine all three into one, you're more prone to making mistakes. So the other thing is too, when you jump into a practice session, first start off at driving at around 80% of your speed. So in the first part, only focus on your vision at first. Learn what is out on the track. Identify your braking marker, your turn-in point, and apex. Focus on hitting the perfect racing line, corner entry, and exit. Once you've understood the track, take a break and then reflect back on what you've learned. In your next practice session, again, stay at 80% of your speed and now focus on the feel. Concentrate on the forces you feel in your wheel, where your car understeers or oversteers, where the bumps are, how do the curbs feel, and then the brake feel. Finally, in the next practice, focus on your hearing. Hear the RPMs of your engine and shift. Hear when you lock up your brakes. Hear the tires. Are you sliding there too much? Because the more you stress the tires, the more heat you bring into the tires and wear them out. So once you can manage all that, you're going to be able to get better and better lap times the more and more you practice. So when you break down everything like this, you learn more about the track, the limits of yourself, and the car. So when you go out and drive at your normal speed, you can process information a lot quicker, making you a faster driver with better reaction speeds and also minimizing your mistakes. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope it makes you a better driver. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, if you want to become part of the Simpit community, there's a link to our Discord down below in the description. Until next time, guys, I hope you have fun racing. Later.